Oh, okay. We're recording. Sorry. I was waiting for the 3, 2, 1. Anyway, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Heather Whatever. I need to start saying what's up, guys and girls. Sounds better, right?
Yeah.
What's up, guys and girls? Boys and girls, women and men. This is the Heather Whatever podcast that you're listening to in case you just stumbled upon it.
What's up, all you cool cats and kittens? You can use that one from Tiger King if you
Yeah.
want.
Yeah. What? That's not she murdered someone, okay?
I thought they found them in like Mexico or something, didn't they? I don't know.
They did?
Did they?
There was some story that they found her husband. I
That's
don't know.
bullshit.
Okay, well, while you go look that up, if you're listening, stop at theheatherpresley.com and make sure you get some merch, some cute stuff, some gifts. Valentine's Day is coming up. Buy your wife a cute little pajama that you can like rip the buttons open and get all in there and, you know, do a little something. So check out theheatherpresley.com. Use discount code 2023 for 60% off the entire website. Free shipping over $100. I love that we're filming another episode. It sucks when we're not here.
Yeah, it does.
Nick,
What's up?
you got some stuff for us.
What? Oh, yeah. Actually, you know what I want to start off with is one that I think you're really going to like, and I want to see Gordy's take on this. Okay?
Okay.
So basically what it is who comes first in your marriage or your relationship or just your life? Is it your kids? Is it your wife? Is it your mom? Is it if you have a daughter? Is it your sister, siblings? What's the order of your list? How does it go? Who start with, like, you know, let's just say kids, wife, mom, dad, and then siblings. Who comes first? Or grandma and grandpa if it's important.
Kids, wife, me, and then everyone else. Like Then it just kind of falls in order.
Why do you think it goes in that?
Because the kids always need shit, so you always got to go with the kids first because they're always asking for shit, like to be fed and all kinds of stuff. You know,
well, no, I mean
clothes.
I don't mean like who comes first or who you're going to take care of. Like who comes first in your life? Like which one is? Well, yeah, I guess you answered that. Yeah,
I mean, it's obviously like kids because everything you do, even in your job, is basically to get money, which you spend on your kids. So your kids' needs, and they're helpless, right? They're kids, so they have got to be first. And then like it's better to probably have your spouse up there, right up real close number 2, just to make sure. That way that shit keeps working out, and then yourself after that, because you don't put yourself up kind of near the top, you're gonna be jacked up.
Yeah,
like if you put everyone else like before you. You're gonna mess yourself up. So I think you put yourself in your little family unit up there in the top, and then everyone else after that.
Yeah,
and you'll have plenty to give to everyone else down the line.
All right, what about you, babe?
How I roll.
Nick first, then kids.
Fuck them kids. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then parents, and siblings are kind of the same, but parents for sure, and then myself. I need to get better at focusing.
Wow, you're gonna do that. You're gonna do the one all the way at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
So I will say
Nick's like my mom, my dad.
Mom first. No,
and since Heather likes to be last, she's last too. Okay, great. Yeah. Consistent. Yeah. Look, we agree.
Back there, just no. Mine would definitely be Heather first, and then kids second, and then third would obviously be my parents and our parent, whatever. And then I would say siblings I would say me or her.
Yeah, no, you started off strong.
I'm sorry, her.
Yes, no, you're right, Nick.
And then
Heather.
it would be me, and then it would be my kids, and then it would be my parents, and then it would be my siblings. And the reason why is because if her and I aren't good, if we're not like living a healthy life, if we're not
prioritizing
in a healthy
other
relationship, and we're not prioritizing each other, and we're not setting a good standard, we're not going to be healthy for our kids. So to me, we come first. I think us coming first, we always come first, right, babe? We always come first. I always do. Yeah, you never do. I wanted to get into what you do, but if we don't come first, I can't even say that now because of what I hear. But if we don't, I think that we're failing the kids too, or we somewhat could be failing the kids. So I think.
Well, and I think too, it's different for us because we're a blended family, but typically in a more traditional form, you are with your spouse first.
Yeah.
And then your kids. So you have to like maintain that. Plus nowadays it's so important for kids to see a very healthy marriage and relationship, because there's so much toxicity in that department here in the United States. But okay, I'm gonna make it dark.
Okay.
Ooh,
Okay.
here we go.
It's World War III. Okay. And you have to choose your spouse or your kids to survive.
Oh, that's easy.
Well, it depends
See,
on the
that changes
situation.
the answer a little bit, because at first what it is because we all know our kids are the most important. Like, they are
They're the
important to
future.
take care of. So, but
Mhm.
the reason why I pick you and I first, because if we're not doing a good job, they're not receiving anything good. But when it comes to who am I, that changes it, because now
Who are you saving between your spouse and your kids?
it's not even close. I'm saving you.
See, that would be my answer too, because if they're kids, like little kids, like they would have a hard time surviving on their own.
We might get a lot of shit for this,
I
but
know. But here's my thing.
answer.
Here's my firm answer: is I would kill both of us so we can go together to heaven.
Not me. Kill yourself.
And then like
Crossing over that bridge alone.
That's like when we
It
talk
depends
about
on the situation, though.
It
What if
does.
like
circumstantial.
one of you's
Mhm.
messed up though? Like Heather's like, I don't know, messed up, and
I have no legs
she's
anymore.
slowing you
I'm
down.
hobbling
Yeah.
around.
She's slowing you down, and you're running from zombies. Like, well, at least you'll feed the zombies while we run away.
One of us
You know
has
what
to
I'm saying?
live,
It is
Yeah.
circumstantial.
But yeah, if you have young kids, obviously they're not going to make it through something like. I mean, you can't protect 3 kids.
Blake could probably do it.
Blake would. I bet if I let Blake off the leash, fuck, dude, he might end the war. He
He's
would
a
just-
warlord all of a sudden,
crazy.
huh? Yeah.
He's like
crazy.
fearless. So this is my thing. Is like there's different types of love, right? Like it's just so different. Like the way you love your
Yeah.
spouse and your kids, which I think we haven't fully, as a whole of humanity, I don't think we fully understand love. Do you know what I mean? It's so complex, and it's something I'm trying to like really pay attention to, because it's not a feeling. Let's just throw that out the door.
Well, it's crazy though because
Feeling
it's
just
the
comes
only,
with it, but because that's
It's-
our human nature. But that's not like the whole form of what love is, which is
the crazy part about love is everything you love will go away one day.
Mhm,
Like you'll lose it, and then like you'll experience the opposite feeling.
mhm.
That's the crappy part. that's the end of the story for love. It's terrible. It's a terrible ending. Terrible.
Yeah.
Not necessarily though. Like
But I think it's better to just have that love as long as you can feel that love.
Oh yeah,
'Cause
100%.
eventually, yeah, it is gone. But
Because that's the whole
you
like
still feel that love even though it's gone.
yeah,
doesn't
that
go
was like
away,
neat.
but
Yeah,
it's
like
so
just-
I'm saying
yeah.
when you're no longer here is, I think, what he's saying.
Yeah.
Nietzsche. Well, like Nietzsche was into that shit, right? And it was like you're gonna lose it anyway, so just don't love anything, like and then you're a miserable
Yeah.
prick through your entire life.
I'm gonna
So,
tell
yeah.
you right now, if I could go back, I would never get married. I'd never have kids. If I knew
Wow.
the world was crazy as it is today, I'm scared.
That's a problem though. Like right now, like the birth rate in a lot of countries, like Italy is
Mhm.
getting old. They're not having kids.
Mhm.
And so like in 200 years, like Italy might not be anything. Like there's no kids around. There's China's having a major issue with like
Well, it's scary
Japan.
now because it's like, do I want to bring people into the world that are gonna go through like?
I don't even think it's that. I think people
times.
are just more selfish now. They like literally
Really?
live in a social media world where they're like, well, I can't afford that vacation to Bali if I've got 2 like little mouth breathing kids I got to feed. And so they're like, I'd rather go and just like enjoy my life and not give of myself at all. And so,
Mhm.
or they wait. And I mean, I'm guilty of this, but you wait to be older to have kids so you can like take care of them better. But then at that point, some people can't get pregnant, so they have to
Mhm.
use IVF or whatever. So they only end up having like 1 when they could have probably had like 2 or 3, And so anyway, yeah, people just aren't doing it enough, and like it's a big like humanitarian crisis that's forming.
So
Yeah.
I said what I said because when Nick went through his heart surgeries and I thought he was gonna die, that feeling
Oh yeah,
is like decrippling. I can't even.
Did you say decrippling?
Is that the word? Decrippling?
It's just crippling.
Oh.
but because
yeah.
she couldn't,
Yeah.
because you were in the hospital,
really
she couldn't get
painful.
that dick. Because she
Yeah.
couldn't get that dick because you were in the hospital with
Yeah.
dick crippling.
That decrippling, you know what I mean?
It
Like,
wasn't
it
crippling, it was
it
decrippling.
was so awful. Oh my gosh. And I think about my kids, like, what if there is World War III and I'm not here? And like they're stuck in like having to survive, and like what are they gonna go through? Like it's that those things scare, which is so crazy to even think about because my brain shouldn't go there, but it does, because I'm just me. So,
But I think that's where it comes. And I don't mean to get like super deep or anything, but that's where you just trust in God. I mean, that's where you're like,
you're right.
life is going to be what it is with or without anybody.
And kids are resilient too, man.
Yeah.
They'll figure it out. Like you go back, there were kids. If you think about it, there were kids that survived World War II. They survived the Holocaust. They survived concentration camps. Yep. Like there were kids that survived some really, really dark shit, and they were little, and they figured it out. Like as much as we think they're not prepared, like their little bodies will adapt if they have to. Their little minds will too. So
I'm going to be honest. I really needed to hear that.
Yeah,
it's probably stupid, but because the world's crazy right now. Like it's so unpredictable. What? Like just
that
like
kids
that.
Are resilient.
Yeah, just like confirming like they're gonna be okay. Because I think about that on the daily basis now. Like it pops in my mind just because everything's so unpredictable and there's lots of rumors of things
we have it pretty good though. Like if you think about it though, and I think during COVID I read this because it was one of those like things where everybody was feeling down on themselves, like why us? It's so terrible. We got to go through this pandemic and my life has been shut down. But if you think back, I think it was like turn of the century. So like if you're turn of the century, you were born in like I should say, I'm sorry, turn of the 20th century, so 1900. You were born, and then like all of a sudden like World War I cracks off, which was terrible, and then like that gets over, and then guess what? It's Great Depression time, and so you then you're like in your teenage years or early 20s in the Great Depression. You get out of that bad boy, and all of a sudden it's like, oh sweet, another World War's coming, and so then you got to go through World War II, and like your whole life, like that group from like 1900 to 1940, 1945, 50. Man, they dealt with some stuff, like, and they some of them came up to be like the greatest generation. So, that was easy times compared, I mean, what we have now is easy compared to what some of those dudes dealt with. So it's all perspective.
Yeah.
People be all right. We're just spoiled now. We're soft. That's what happens. We're soft.
Before we go into that, I'll be right back.
Where are you going? Uh-oh. What's wrong? Okay. All right. Well, yeah, that was, that happened. So she's gone. I want to play a funny video while she's gone. How about that?
Okay.
Let's see.
One she won't like.
Yeah, let's do the one that she's not gonna like. It is going to be. It's kind of weird though. Okay.
You guys only ever
Wait.
do stuff. My roommate / best friend, she fists her own all the time. She fists her own.
She what all the time?
She fists her own. I've been listening to this podcast.
Oh, I saw that one.
And it's actually got some good stuff, but I don't want to play a couple of these other ones because it's a lot of like, I think they're porn stars, and I think that they're like, I don't know, but they have like open relationships, and they talk about how they do these different things. It's kind of a trippy, some of the stuff they talk about, but it actually does. The podcast seems like it does really well though.
Hey, I got to tell. I just saw this interview, and I want to bring this up. I think because Heather may or may not even be into this. So Seth Rogen did. I guess he technically joked about it, but he did an interview in People, and he basically said no one's made a good high school movie since Superbad.
Oh God!
And that's basically what he said.
Yeah,
he goes,
I haven't seen one.
He said no one has done, and that was like released in what 2000 and like
probably
07. Yeah. Said no one's made. He said he was clearly joking, but it really, I mean, now people are starting to go, yeah, is that true? I mean, they throw down some people said Booksmart, Lady Bird, Easy A, Do Revenge, Edge of 17. Never saw any of those.
Yeah. I never saw any of those. Or Easy A. I did see Easy A, I think.
Did you?
Which one was that? That one was with, it was with a girl, right? Or, was the lead actress. I think it was a girl.
I think they all had girls as lead actresses.
Oh, okay.
And then like someone said, Perks of Being a Wallflower, dope.
I never saw that.
I didn't see those either.
Yeah.
So like it's fired the internet up because apparently people are like, oh no, that's not. But yeah, because the thing is, Superbad has got a resurgence lately. Like now the actors are saying like their kids or even their friends are watching this at like, some 17 years later, 16 years later, and picking it up and going like this and like watching it because it kind of is evergreen other than like their cell phones were older.
Yeah.
Like, it's the story stays the same.
Yeah.
And
anyway. Yeah, it is a little bit. Actually, I just saw a high school movie. We watched one. It was maybe a couple months ago. We saw a Netflix one. It was like one of those ones where the new girl came to school and she ended up being a crazy girl and she was like trying to kill people. She was a stalker and like but it wasn't it wasn't like a big one. Yeah, there hasn't been a big one like Superbad big. No, Superbad was sick.
It's
I
still
love
like
that
I
movie.
think that's still one of the
I
standard
just watched
beers.
it like 2 days ago. It was on and I saw it. It's like when I'm scrolling through anything and I see Superbad, Step Brothers, or
Yes.
stuff like that, I don't give a fuck what I'm doing. I'm watching it. I
Right.
love those. Like, there's some good ass movies like that.
Yeah, no, there's probably been. I mean, there's been very few that have even been made, and I never heard any of those that actually people just spit out when they got upset that he said that. But no,
Yeah.
I think he's spot on. There's not been a good one, and there were some good ones in that time. There was a few. You all had all the American Pie movies came out, and
Oh yeah, those are cool.
before that you had Varsity Blues, which was
So good. The whipped cream.
Yeah, and so you see what they
Good
do
girl.
now when they go back to some of those movies and see how bad they've aged.
Yeah,
Like Varsity Blues when he talks about giving girls Percocet and booze,
yeah,
or like Revenge of the Nerds where he basically rapes that lady in the
Yeah.
carnival ride because she thought he was her boyfriend.
Revenge of the Nerds. Oh my god, I
They're
love
like, that was totally fine, and instead of crying rape, she falls in love with him. Oh, what
Yeah.
a great story!
Yeah,
They're like, the '80s were wild. This did not age well. Yeah.
yeah,
Instead of being sexually assaulted, she ends up loving the guy.
loving him. Yeah, she loved it so much.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Raped gave them a relationship.
Yeah. And they act like it was a
Heather's
totally
back.
what a sweet
back.
move.
Look at her. She's back. She's going poo poo.
No, I was literally going to pee my pants.
Oh.
I couldn't. I don't want to get a UTI.
That's the first time anybody's ever gotten up in the middle of the show to go poop.
I didn't go poop.
Yeah, you went poop. Come on.
Jesus,
Poo poo.
you have to. You're
I'm
turtling.
going to be
there.
honest with you. I do. Do you see me shaking over here? I got to shit so bad. I have to shit so bad, but I'm just letting this show. Because it's so bad. I don't even want to fart right now because I know it's going to.
Hey, I was coming back from the gym thank God I was done. Thank God I was on my way home. But like I leave the gym. I think I ran on the treadmill instead of going outside. It was too cold. And so I'm leaving the gym and I like hop in my car and I start heading back. And luckily the gym's not too far from my house. But I'm like, oh man, my stomach kind of hurts. And I'm like, oh man, I gotta go.
Yeah.
And I'm just tearing through the neighborhood, man, trying to make it. And I'm like, want to give myself a pep talk, trying to make sure I'm gonna make it.
Come on, man, you can do this.
You can do this. You got this.
Come on.
You got this. Like and then it didn't make help because I have heated seats in my truck, and they were like
Oh,
not helping.
yeah,
That
warmed
wasn't
it up.
helping.
Fuck
Yeah,
yeah.
I was like, and I'm like,
He's like, that
thank-
happened this
You gotta
morning.
put the air conditioning seats on to pucker that butthole up, man.
Dude, I came in screaming into my front yard like Dukes of Hazzard, like
Yeah.
pulling the e-brake and just sliding in and
Oh,
throwing
but
the
how
keys.
good it was! Yeah, we're not gonna get into it. I bet it was a good one though. Oh, good. I love when that happens. I just hope
It's
I'm close to
terrible.
it.
It's the worst feeling in the world.
Yeah. Okay, babe, you want to do the one that you were?
Mhm.
Okay, you ready?
I'm ready.
You guys ready? You ready, Gordy? Okay,
Uh-huh.
Here we go.
You go on a first date with a guy and you have sex with him, and he's like, "Oh, she gave out too easily in the first date."
You
Well,
gave out too easily
Yeah,
on the first
right.
day, you fucking
You gave
whore bag.
exactly. Who's the whore?
Yeah, you were
Okay, what do you think? Who's the whore? Who's the hoe? Come on, babe.
Okay, here's the thing. It's nobody's business, but people make their own opinions about it, right?
Yeah.
Like I remember growing up, like you were trash if you gave it up.
Oh yeah, like your body count.
Like you had
Oh,
to,
my
like
God.
you had to have like the 3-date minimum rule, and like it was on movies too. Like I don't put out on the first night. Like
Yeah.
it was like a thing.
That's why girls didn't put out on the first dates. Fucking asshole movies.
So Jesus,
I still
Nick.
got it though.
Not,
I'm just kidding. Not
not
with you
me.
though.
Okay, so here's the thing. I think if you're looking for a relationship and you're mature and you've developed emotionally, you don't typically want to do that because then you start your relationship based off of sex, right?
I've
Which
heard that. Yes,
Which
I don't
can
know if I
draw
agree with
you
it.
into that fake love because you're
It's
just in lust, right?
Yeah,
I think
100%.
that's a big reason. Now, if you're not looking for a relationship and you're just going to have an
Get
experience,
your needs.
then I think that's different. That makes sense to me. For like now, it also I think is an age thing. If you're under 18 and you're in high school and you're doing that, that makes me uncomfortable a little bit because you're not like fully aware and developed, emotionally, and that can cause trauma down the line because you're not when you're that young and you're in high, because I see high school girls doing it all the time, right? And they're called the slut of the school, right?
I don't know. Now it's so easy. They're just like, hey, nice to meet you. You want to see a nude pic? Here you go.
I
Text.
know. But the problem with that is that, and this is what I fear for from our daughter, which she has a bad attitude. No one's trying to go over there.
Yeah.
But she's changed.
She's so rude.
She's so rude. She'll be like, excuse me? This is top notch down here. Walk away.
Jesus,
That's
babe,
her.
that's our daughter. You're
I
saying
know, I'm
that.
sorry.
Come on.
But that's why I don't worry for her too much, but I do, because then you start feeling these feelings of intimacy, but they're not accurate. They're heightened because you're going through puberty and you don't understand it and you can't compartmentalize it. It's just a whole thing. Now, if you're an adult and you're doing that, so my thing was, when I met Nick, I wanted to be in a relationship with him. Like, I wanted a long, healthy, and from experience of serial dating, I've learned that just not like going all in just because trust me, I wanted to. It wasn't like it was hard, but I just wanted to develop that, and it made it more sexier when we weren't intimate because of that built up tension. So you still get that overwhelming lust feeling, but you're also backing that with true emotions and affection for that person, and it makes it a little bit more special. Girls do this, because I have done this before, where they feel like they have to sleep with the guy because they don't want to lose them.
Oh, yeah.
Because they know the guy's not into them. But if I show him a good time, or like we have really good sex, like maybe I'll like hook him, right? That's a train of thought for women, and I think that's the wrong way. So then when things don't work out, you become psycho because you're not emotionally processing it.
Do you think it's sad, or do you think that the girls are just horny and they want
No.
they want to get with it? Do you think that's how it is?
I don't think women are.
Wow.
No, because we're more nurturing, and if a girl's just going to jump in bed with a guy, if he's like...
So do you think it's any different if it's a man who's fucking on the first date than a woman fucking on the first date?
Who's the hoe? That's the
Who's the
question on
hoe
the
in
video.
that?
Who's the hoe?
So that's why it's like hard to say. Like, men naturally have that instinct to have sex. They were born with it. Like, they are here to mate. We all are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But God gave us...
You can have orgasms too, so you're here for
God
that.
gave us separate emotions, and some men do have them, but it's not as common.
Well, they gave us balls that produces testosterone. So
well,
that's our problem.
we have lots of estrogen, and where we get attached, so it's different between a guy and a woman. Like, men can go and raw dog every chick in town and sleep perfectly fine at night and not be worried if she's not texting me back. Like, some guys are like that because they are more emotional, but it's not as common. So
just describe my 20s. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So for me to think of like a guy being a hoe, like, I think it's more of like a natural instinct.
But don't you think it's because that's the way you were raised, is you always saw that was, or like in high school, you fucked 4 people, you fucked this, or don't you think women have always been treated like hoes if they do that? So
I think it's because
but it's really no different.
I think it's because you're having a man go inside of you.
Yeah.
And he leaves a treasure.
Yeah.
So it's not like we have sticks and we're just putting it in holes like you guys, you fucking sickos. Like, we are being filled with something.
On the cake. A little icing in the cake. How about that?
Yeah. So I think that's like I'm glad we talked about this, because I remember growing up, like, people would be called sluts and you're this and you're that. And like, I would see girls like get really depressed from it. Yeah. Like, it causes a lot of trauma. Like, it just does. But when you're an adult, no one calls anybody that.
Nobody gives a shit.
It's like, you see, that's why I'm saying, like, it's an age thing. Like, it's young. If you're a woman and you're in your 30s and you're independent and you're thriving, whether you have kids or you don't have kids, and you're going out and having a good time and like
get that dick,
hooking up with people, that's none of my business. Yeah. I'm not going to be like, oh, look at that hoe bag. I'm going to be like, she's getting hers. Like, that's what she wants to do, because she's mature enough to do that. Like, she knows what she's doing, you know?
I think it's all based on like Mean Girls, the show, you know. Some people, they just want to, you know, girls when they're younger, everybody's thought process is different when you're younger, because some girls have been raised, they're a little more sheltered. So when they see a girl having sex and they're virgins, they're like, that bitch is a slut. She's fucking, you know, she's fucking guys. But once you get a little bit older, everybody's fucking guys. So it's like, no, you can't call someone else slut. But
I will say, though, being a virgin is really cool.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you a funny story, Gordy. Yeah. So one of our clients bought a new house, and I wanted to see what it looked like because it was expensive. So I like Googled it or whatever to see like what it looked like.
Yeah.
And it showed the house that they sold because they made way more than they bought it for, obviously inflation. And in the son's room, because there are accurate pictures of what their house looked like when they lived there. In the teenage room, he's 15. He had being a virgin is cool. Like
I said, virginity rocks.
Yeah, it was a huge
This
banner.
is a big deal now. These high school kids,
Yeah.
they go to my gym and they all wear these shirts like virgins are awesome, or virginity rocks, or just like all these. I don't know if it's
That's
true.
the
I'm
one
assuming
thing-
it's not true though. They're probably just saying that because.
Well, but that's the one thing
thing.
I'll say about like today's newer, kids. As much as
Yeah.
we give them a ration of shit for being soft, they do have this weird acceptance, because I still like deal with a lot of high school kids, and there's not as there still are like assholes and bullies and stuff at these schools, but
It is
like
different.
it's so much more accepting now, like where it's like they don't have these factions of like, well, that guy's a geek, don't talk to him, this and that. Like it's not it's segregated. And so yeah, there probably is a group and a mentality like this is cool, and people are like, okay, cool, you do you, instead of people like making fun of them constantly, which would have been the case in our time.
But
Mhm.
I want to say this about that. Okay, when we were in high school, sex was all we could get. These high schoolers now are spoiled. They might be trying to get some chick in the bed, and then she's not giving it up. So what are they doing? They got porn wherever they want it.
Right.
You can jerk off wherever they want. We didn't have that shit. We had to have a spank bank. We had to be making moves so that we had that shit in our head for the next 2 years. We had to jerk off to something, or we had to have sex. So we were like way more intense. We were like, no, I need that. I need that shit. Like we were fucking fiends, that's all we had.
That was just you.
That was me. But I'm just saying, like, now
I was a lighter version of that. I agree.
Yeah,
I was a
everybody
lighter
was,
version of that. But
yeah, it's but you're right. Kids, you know what though? I will say this. Over the years, since we were in high school, if you look at like bullying, or I know it still happens, but it's way less than it used to. So that means if you like, kids are impressionable. You can teach kids how to, if over years from a young age, you start teaching kids what's right and what's wrong more. Poop again? What's right and what's wrong, like over the year, back in the days, we didn't hear about bullying. We didn't hear about that stuff.
Yeah.
Now it's taught to these kids at a young, I don't see as much, it doesn't feel like there's as much bullying. Kids don't like, I feel like you're right. They're spoiled. They're not motivated. They don't, I see kids that are 17 I'm like, you got your license? Nah. Like, why not?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't
are
you
get.
fucking out of your mind, dude? I got my license at the day I turned 16.
The day, me too. On my birthday. On my birthday, I got it.
Yeah, they're just not like self-motivated to want to. They don't need. They just have everything. They have too much. If they don't have it, so what? They're just going to sit at home and they're going to watch, play games and watch porn and fucking. They don't need anything else. Kids are a trip now, man.
Yeah, but they are way more. It's weird. They're way more, not weird, but for better for worse, they're way more accepting and way more kind of,
You're right.
like open to that. So it does make high school a little easy for some people. But anyway.
It's still a tough one. It's
yeah, there's always a tough one still.
Our generation was better. I just want to say that we're fucking
dude. Like here's a great part about our generation. I'll throw it out there. We grew up with like, I remember like no remote control TV. I remember, having a record player and knowing what an 8-track was. And then like we went from the total analog to the digital, and now we're like super, we're tech whizzes. So like, that's the crazy part. We went from analog to like our generation saw it all. And like we lived through the 90s, which I think like here's what I'm starting to see with the 90s. The 90s are becoming what the 60s were to me when I was a kid. So when I was a kid in like the late 80s and the 90s, you're like, wow, the 60s were crazy. They were awesome. Like they had really good bands and they had all these crazy parties. And like now like the 90s have become the 60s. And I'm like, I lived through the 90s, man. Like I thrived in the 90s.
So it's funny because we've seen a lot of change, but can you imagine how much change it's crazy, like the 60s, like you're talking about, like people that were raised in the 60s look how much change they saw from the 60s to the 90s. Right. And now look at how much change they've seen from the 90s to the 2023.
The changes have been faster.
Yeah. So I want to say one more thing, okay? Because back in those days, like when your mom was alive, she told the stories, like people would sleep with everybody.
And it's changed how?
Yeah, it was free back then.
Yeah, I think now you just have to like worry about more stuff and more consent. But
Yeah, everybody's free spirits back then. Yeah, you want this pussy? Let's smoke a joint. Get some fucking. Let's fuck this pussy. That's how it was. Fuck
Our
this
weed is better now though than it used to be. That's for sure.
So, yeah, I hope my kids stay virgins forever. That would be so cute. I remember when I lost my virginity, I got so attached to the guy. I literally would clean his room. Like, that was lovely.
I lost mine to an ex-girlfriend. It's pretty awesome because it didn't happen when we were together, but it happened later down the road, a few years later. Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, it's so crazy.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh man,
nowadays,
don't regret it.
It's hard when you have kids because it's just like, I wonder where they're gonna go, like what routes they're gonna take. You know, in high school, like who are they gonna be?
Yeah,
That's when they start developing who they are and they start like learning things.
Well, you just hope that they don't go down that I don't really care what they do as long as like they don't end up like basically drug addicts. Like that's the biggest scare to me is that, because that will take their life away so quick. And that's my biggest worry, it's like, how do I steer them away from that? So I don't have to deal with that pain later, like that's, I see that when people lose people because of that. Like that's rough.
Especially now. Did Nick, I don't know if Nick told you, like there was like, I think we talked about it there was a kid vaping that's in 7th grade.
Oh no, that's been going on for a while though, huh?
Like,
I mean,
Nick would go and pick Beckham up and like he would be vaping like right walking out of the school, like with teachers and stuff there. Like no shame. Wow. 7th grade. Like I don't even know. And he lives in our neighborhood and he used to hang out with Blake and not anymore.
See, and that's the hard part. Like you can do stuff easy like that now, but before, like I had my dad tell me, he would tell me, don't even start trying to smoke cigarettes. He was like, don't even start. He goes, I smoked for however many years. And he goes, I can smell it. He goes, don't even think you're going to get away with it. Like you're not. And I'm like, okay. And so there was a distinctive odor if you smoked a cigarette, but now kids can get away with vaping, getting the same stuff without that odor. So your parents don't even know.
What are we talking about?
I told him about the kid that you saw vaping.
Oh yeah. I got him busted. I'm a rat.
Rat?
I ratted on him.
You're a parent now, though.
Why? Let me say,
because he was handing it to all the buddies around him.
He was like handing it to these other kids, and Beckham walks that same way home with that kid, right behind him or right in front of him. Yeah. My thought is, I just don't want him to, think, oh, this kid's doing it. Maybe I could try it, and that's how it starts. So the kid was just so ignorant about it. Like he crossed the crosswalk. The crosswalk guy was still there, and he just started vaping right 50 feet from the guy, 30 feet from the guy, just nothing. The guy didn't see it, but he's doing it on a main road where everybody's driving. I
thought it was in front of the school, no?
It was like right across from that school, like right in front of it. And he's just vaping. I saw him pull it out of his backpack, hand to his buddies. And so, the guy who was the assistant coach with me on the soccer team, he works there. So I called him. I'm like, hey, I knew who the kid was because he's in our neighborhood. Yeah. So this motherfucker had a vape. And he just started hitting it like nothing. He was passing it to a couple kids. So, I'm not having that. I don't care.
That's the crazy part.
For him because he does come from like a rough home because he used to hang out with Blake. So it is sad.
Well, look, if you're going to come from a rough home, then come from a rough home and smoke cigarettes like the real bad kids do. Like, you smoke a pack of Lucky Strikes,
cocaine. Start snoring those lines.
Right. Yeah. I don't want you to be some soft-ass kid with blueberry vape. Like, if you're going to be a fucking badass.
Fucking camel non-filter pussy.
Exactly. I want some non-filters that you smuggle from your grandpa.
Yep.
You're
exactly.
really telling us his history,
huh?
While your dad got shit-faced drunk, he passed out. You took 3 cigarettes out of his pack because he didn't know any different. That's what I'm talking about.
Because he was all knotted out on heroin. He's just fucking putting them back, and you're like, well, you know what? Let's try some dope and let's try some cigarettes.
I can deal with soft kids, but I can't deal with soft outlaws.
Yeah,
so if I'm gonna have the kids are gonna be the outlaws, I need them to get.
You got to go hard.
Together.
You want to act hard. You're gonna go hard.
Exactly. Like if you're gonna, because then now you get that true punishment. Like I had buddies, because look, we started tobacco in 7th grade too. Like we started chewing tobacco in 7th grade because that was just what happened. And we'd get all like the candy flavored stuff. And then we'd graduate. But then I had a buddy got popped by his parents chewing Levi Garrett. His dad said, "All right, cool. That no problem. Here's a pack of Levi Garrett. I need you to go dip that entire thing."
Yep.
And like put the entire pack in his mouth. And of course he threw his guts up everywhere.
I had
and
a
it
friend.
Was like, lesson learned.
Yeah, I had a friend that did that, but he got caught smoking cigarettes. His mom and dad made him smoke a full pack of cigarettes.
Yep.
Like not like it was just one after another, and obviously he couldn't, and you got.
See, now you can't do that when it's like, you need to smoke this entire cartridge of apple pie vape.
Yeah, I know. They'll be like, yummy, yummy, mommy, yummy, mommy.
Which we can't buy in California anymore.
Did you ever get the soap in the mouth as a kid? Either one of you?
Yep.
Big
time.
I do it to my kids now, though.
I've written it to Blake, but it's
You
kind of
do?
like,
Oh yeah.
We need to do that to him.
I know, but
When
it's
he
so
asks us,
hard
let's
with all
do
these
it.
like people that are like, it's abuse. Like,
Fuck
don't,
that.
nah, blah, blah. But like if I said the word like gay, like in a joking way, because I grew up in church, or another one was suck.
What?
Oh yeah.
I
We don't
couldn't say like this
You
sucks.
can't say I
or
want to
you
suck on this lollipop, and I'm talking
No.
about a dick. You know what I mean?
No, I wasn't allowed to say suck. Like there's so many like church things I wasn't allowed to say that my mom would wash my mouth out with soap.
Would you get mad if you said, "Oh my God"?
Oh, yep. Couldn't
Yeah.
say God's name in vain. Oh my gosh. Like there were so many things, and
Even if you said, "Oh my gosh," it's like still,
yeah,
it's
too
because it's
close.
insinuating.
It's too close.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like there were so many
I
things
used to
and my
always say
mom
that.
would scrub.
I
my
just do
mouth.
it. We just do it for the bad ones because sometimes my kids will just let it fly. They were like, "Holy
Yeah.
shit!"
Yeah,
I'm like, okay,
sometimes.
well, that's not gonna work.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so
We need to
gotta-
do it,
gotta
babe. We
make
need to
sure
start
correct
doing
that.
it when they talk back. Oh, you want to talk back to us? Go grab the bar of soap. And fuck the rod. That's over.
God, I was like, it
Get your bar soap.
traumatized me as a kid, though. It did. Oh my god.
I got the bar of soap a few times. It wasn't that bad. The worst part is when they put it in, and then what my mom would do so that she wanted to leave a lasting impression.
She'd make you bite down.
She would make you bite it, and then
Yep.
she'd rip it
Oh.
out, and that shit would just
Stuck in
be
your
fucking
teeth.
stuck in your
Yeah,
Oh
my
my
mom did that too.
God, Lee, that was the worst. You'd
Oh
have
my
like
gosh.
soap shavings in your mouth.
I know
and it was-
nowadays you have to be like, listen, this isn't the right way to use words, and we
Yeah.
don't use words like
Do we
that.
say
Use
fuck in this
words.
household? That's
Yes.
a no. Shit is not.
Only parents can say fuck
Only
in this
parents.
household.
Yeah. Yeah.
So crazy. All right. Well, that wraps up this episode. This episode was brought to you by theheatherpresley.com. You can find our merchandise at theheatherpresley.com.
Yeah.
Use discount code 2023 for 60% off your entire order and free shipping over $100. And also go to openbins.com and get a box and use Heather Pod for 10% off because they're getting like a bunch of new stuff in too. So I use that discount code myself.
Yeah. Every fucking day.
No,
4 times a week.
no.
3 times
I
a week.
bought one box in like
Just
the last
kidding.
month.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll see in the month just started. You know what I mean? Anyway, we'll see you guys next week, and I hope you guys have a wonderful time.